Welcome, 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 welcome. This is a little bit of a weekly devotional. I have been led to share. So I'm not really gonna worry about my words. I'm just gonna trust that God is going to you get it. You guys get it, okay? It's not about me. It's about God. It's about love. It's about the message, okay? So we're gonna get right into it, okay? Reading out of Matthew 18. The section right here is talking about who is the greatest, right? Because Jesus was proposed this question, or someone proposed this question to Jesus, however you use that. Actually, the disciples. Okay. Let me go ahead and read here, right? Matthew 18, 18, verse 1. At that time, the disciples came to Jesus. Pause real quick, right? If you don't know who the disciples were a group of men, young men, like under 20, in their teens. And they were called by Jesus, whether they were, working, whether they were going about their lives, and Jesus was coming by and he called out to many people, but these were the men who responded to his call and decided to drop all that they had, all they were doing, and follow Jesus, okay? I'm pretty sure there was 12 disciples, apostles. Okay. And the funny thing is, right, we like to think, when we think about Jesus' disciples, that they're the holiest of holies. These dudes were, above reproach. These dudes did not have petty squabbles. They didn't have infighting, right? They wouldn't argue about who's the greatest, who's the most important, who's gonna sit at the right hand of God, right? That wouldn't be things that they would be concerned about, right? Right? Or is it? Let's read. Okay. Again, Matthew 18. Now we're like partway through verse 1. Okay, the disciples are asking Jesus, who is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven? Okay, so and Jesus said, and calling to him a child, he put him in the midst of them and said, okay, that was kind of confusing. So Jesus calls out to a kid. He's using this kid as an example, like a story. Was it a parable? No. All right, I think I'm confusing myself. There's a kid, and Jesus is using this child as an example. And Jesus says this, truly I say to you, unless you turn and become like children, you will never enter the kingdom of heaven. Whoever humbles himself like this child is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven. All right. So humility is a critical component in someone who follows Jesus, right? If somebody says they love Jesus, look at their life. You say what? Actions are worth 1,000 words, or what? You get it. How somebody acts versus how they say sometimes is vastly different. Do as I say, not as I do, that kind of thing. That doesn't fly. If you want people to follow what you say, you need to be an example. You need to live by those words. Be a man of your word. What you say you will do, or a woman, right? A woman of your word. What you say you will do. If you tell someone that you will do something, you will do everything in your power to accomplish that. And if you can't, just be honest. Because it's okay to fail. It is okay to mess up and make mistakes. What it is not okay to do is to minimize, to divert, or to not even acknowledge that the mistake was made. Because when that happens, when we choose to be blind or just are blind in general to our mistakes, how can we improve, right? If we're making an error, there's a fallacy in our ways, and we don't see that fallacy. If we continue on that path, we're going to keep making that mistake, and our lives will continue to degrade until a point, right? And I don't know what that point is for your life, okay? And that point is different for everyone's. But the end of that path leads to hell. The path of self-service and self-satisfaction leads to hell. Okay? That is the straightest way I can put it. When we look at the life of Jesus, Jesus lived a life of service. He was healing. He was preaching. He was among the people, right? The tax collectors, the prostitutes, the Pharisees, the cripples, the lepers, right? The outcasts, the uncleanly, those who society, the Pharisees, right? The holier than the holiest had deemed to be undeserving, right? Undesirable, less than them. Friends, the message that is repeated throughout Jesus' life, New Testament, the message that is repeated that tells you what a Christian will look like, it's a simple emphasis. It's a little bit of love. If you're not living a life of love, if you're not choosing humility, then are you really a follower of God? Now, humility is definitively something that I am working on, and it is something that God has laid on my heart, because I have been rather cocky and overconfident and exuded that cocky attitude, like I got it taken care of, I got it covered. In all reality, I'm barely holding it together, and it is by the grace of Jesus and my reliance on Him each and every day, in the faith that God's got it, right? Bad things can happen on this earth. I could die. I can get run over by a car. I could get mauled by a bear, right? Right? But that's not the end of it, okay? There is an eternity after this. This is just like a holding grounds, right? This is like a temporary rest over, a holdover, right? It's a rest stop on your way to Florida, okay? So if you want to get to the beaches in Florida, you can't fake your way into Florida, right? You're not gonna fake your way into heaven. You can't fake being humble and humility. And it's not an easy pill to swallow, and I still struggle swallowing that pill. Like, it is not easy to not degrade, but to not be concerned about making sure that other people know how good you are or how much you matter, right? Because we want to tell people what we know. We want to show people how much we can do. It is good to get the affirmation, right? It's good to be told, attaboy, like, dang, good job. That's impressive. We want that attention. It's natural, right? It's natural to want to be in the spotlight. Well, for most people. Some people are shy, and again, everyone's different in their tendencies and blah, 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 blah. Getting all wrapped up in the words. The point is, right? The point is, being humble, it's not easy to do, but showing others that you care about them more than you care about serving yourself shows them the love of Jesus. Because it shows them that, it's counterculture. It's cultural. It's counterintuitive. It's intuitive to be self-serving, right? It's intuitive to want to raise ourselves up. But when we put others above ourselves, that makes them take a step back and say, wow, something's different. This dude cares. This dude's loving. This woman, she cares. She loves others. She loves from within. It's like, how does this lady love so much? How do they give so much themselves? How do they care so much? And friends, that love, that need to tell people about the love of Jesus and to care about them and to help them, like, that's the mark of a Christian, right? So if you, and I've seen plenty of this, I've seen plenty of examples, and I have been a do as I say, not as I do Christian. And I was wrong for that. And I am so grateful to God that He did not abandon me. His grace never stopped. And I am so grateful and so blessed that I have a loving and forgiving and a gracious God. Because grace is undeserved forgiveness, right? It is by grace we are saved. Is that in here? Matthew for his... Maybe not. I forget what the verse goes, it is by grace it is by grace we are saved. It is not from ourselves, right? We don't deserve grace. It is a gift from God so that no man can boast. Boast, like brag, like bring self-gratification upon ourselves. So in that verse, without Jesus, we're nothing, and we all are condemned to go to hell. That's grace, friends. That's the grace that we should try to show others, right? The forgiveness, not holding grudges. We need to try to forgive like Jesus did. It's a tall order. Grace is not easy. It's easy. It feels good. Like, now maybe, okay, let's change that. It's not easy to let a grudge go. In fact, a lot of times it almost feels like we're shorting ourselves, because we think that when we internalize and we continue to be angry at that person, we're somehow affecting them, or like there's something we're doing holding that grudge. Where in reality, the only person we're affecting is ourselves. We're not moving past that, right? Whatever transgression that happened, we are refusing to move past that point, and we're refusing to heal, right? If you want to get better, if you want to grow, you need to heal. You need to give grace. And like I said, it's not easy. And I'm sure there's many of you who have experienced way worse, transgressions, way worse offenses than I have. So that act of grace is going to be even bigger for you. It's going to be a hard pill to swallow. But it's a necessary pill. It's a developmental step, right? Don't be bound to what's holding you back. Don't be stuck in a path of anger and inability to move on, okay? I understand that you are hurt. I might not understand what has hurt you, okay? Because I haven't been there. But I understand what pain is and hurt is. And I understand and I know that my God is a loving and a healer. He's a loving God and He's a healer. He wants to take that pain away. He wants to help you. He wants to come alongside you. He wants to be there for you. He wants you to accept the gift of eternal life. He doesn't want you to burn in hell, friends. But it's the act of coming to God, right? Because it's a gift. It's out there. All it takes is your acceptance. But it also takes the acceptance that you can't do it alone. I can't do it alone. You and me, we need Jesus. We need grace. So friends, if there's someone in your life that you've been holding out on, if there's someone in your life that is deserving of grace, no, maybe not deserving. If there's someone in your life who needs grace, right? Because we're not deserving of grace. We don't deserve grace. I'm sure your friend doesn't deserve grace, or your enemy doesn't deserve grace. I'm sure they don't. But that's what grace is. It's unwarranted, undeserved forgiveness. And friends, that is exactly what Jesus gives us. So, as I have been told, as I shall tell you, go out and do great things. Be bigger than the problem in front of you. All right? I love you guys. Stay focused, stay motivated, stay positive. And remember, this race is a marathon. It's got a lot of hills. It's got a lot of ups and downs. It's going to rain. It's going to snow. You're probably going to slip on the ice. But get back up. And when you have Jesus with you, you're not getting up alone. Jesus is helping you up. Jesus promises to never leave or forsake us. Never, ever, ever. And Jesus doesn't break no promises, okay? Have a good day, guys.